Now to solve this, I'm going to need some stuff. Well, first of all, I've got some points. I've got this point here. I've got this point here. I need to know the slope, m. Do I know the slope? Not really.
6 over -2.
Could be. How'd you come up with that?
Rise over run.
Rise over run. So remember that the slope m is equal to the rise over run. Very good. Now, if that, and also this is going downhill. So whenever you have a downhill line, that means that the slope is negative. Okay. And when I read this from left to right, and it looks like it's going downhill, that I know the slope is going to be negative. In other words, I got to go down. And I can count if I start at this point and I go down, and you're counting by 2. So if I go down, well, it doesn't matter what you count by, but if you go down 1, 2, 3, and you go over 1. Now, technically, because you're counting down by 2 and over by 2, it's technically -6 over 2. But here's the thing. I don't really know if that math is true. It looks like it, but I need a way to verify that. Okay? I need to know for sure. So here's what I do. I'm going to call this x sub 1. Let me change the color on that. I'm going to call this x sub 1, comma y sub 1. And then I'm going to call this x sub 2, y sub 2. So this is probably right, but let me double check it. Another way you could do this is you could say y is equal to, or I'm sorry, m is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And again, if you notice, Mr. Adams doesn't have any notes. That's in my head because I wrote that formula down every time I did a problem like this. It will never go away. Okay? So what's y sub 2? 0 minus y sub 1, which is 6. Okay, that's looking pretty promising. What's x sub 2? 3 minus x sub 1, which is 1. So I end up with -6 over 2, and that reduces down to -3. So I know that the slope is -3. By the way, I think earlier we said that the y-intercept might be 0, 9. Looks like it. Could be. Don't know for sure. I need to verify that. Oh boy, that's a lot of work. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to start with y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1, and plug in my information. What's y sub 1? 6. What's m? -3 times the quantity x minus x sub 1, which is 1. We're going to distribute the -3 through the parentheses. This becomes -3x. What's -3 times -1?
3.
+3. All this stuff stays the same. What's my next step? Yeah, I got to add 6. I want to get y by itself, so I add 6 to both sides. And I get y equals, these cancel, -3x plus 9. Turns out the y-intercept was 9. Oh, awesome. Okay. I'll leave that up there for a second. Does anybody